I was on a back road. That's where the bad part of the day began. So I see a deer and swerve to go around them, and as soon as that truck started going sideways, it threw me out the window. The doctor told me there was a 1% chance of recovery. It's a lost cause.
We've been through about 4,000 years of history where the answer was the same. I don't know if you're going to walk again. I don't know if you're going to be functional again. Before he had the procedure, he could not have held a baseball in his hand. When I first injected these stem cells into Lucas, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. This is one of the first times it's in a human being. It's always a dream to do one thing in a person's career that changes a paradigm. And it turns out it actually worked. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a truck driver. And then my mentor here, when I came to the United States, suggested I should be a neurosurgeon. But ever since I picked neurosurgery, I've never looked back. To go and tell a person like Lucas, who's in the prime of their life, that you're never going to walk again, that's something I'll never get used to.
He was in a coma for 3 days. To be trapped inside of a body that's not responding to what he wants it to do, it was more than I could take.
He had zero function, so he couldn't move anything, he couldn't sense anything, his bladder and bowel wouldn't work.
He could move his shoulders, was all we could see. He couldn't do anything else. He was just laying there.
It's pretty bad.
So Lucas has a spinal cord injury in the cervical spine. So this is a bruise that he has. The portion of the spinal cord that's bruised is not really dead, but actually dormant.
He said that he qualified for a stem cell clinical trial. It's experimental surgery.
With regard to using embryonic stem cells for treatment in general, I can see both sides of the social argument. But here I'm a scientist. You sort of take an oath to do the best for your patients. Embryonic stem cells are derived from human embryos. These cells were genetically modified so that they could only become cells of the nervous system. When you put these stem cells into the injured spinal cord, they find the ailing nerve cells and they insulate them again so that they can function normally. This is an extremely rare operation, and Lucas was the third individual in the world that received 10 million cells in his spinal cord.
The thing that scared us the most was to perform this surgery, they had to stop his breathing for 2 minutes.
The spinal cord never sits at the same spot. You don't want the needle to go back and forth. So sometimes what we do is we give the patient 100% oxygen so they don't need to breathe for those 3 minutes. It's something that I was doing that I couldn't take back. That would make anyone nervous. I can tell you this, there is not a single patient that I've met who is a new quadriplegic that is not willing to try absolutely anything to get back to feeling human again. We're in this line of work to make lives better for people, and it turns out it actually worked.
He started getting some fingers back. Every night we went there, he would show us something new. So, and this is just the beginning.
Good one. You put something into that one now, that was good.
I've went from not being able to eat to cooking any meal that I want myself, not being able to dress myself, almost completely dress myself, from not doing what I want to doing what I want, which is huge.
I'm living with him, I'm watching a miracle. Every week there's a little bit more, and we haven't stopped improving yet.
This is just a stepping stone. There's other places to go from here. But this is a major milestone.
You always want to see something that's experimental become standard of care. It would be great to see a paralyzed person walk and discuss when they may be able to return to work, like nothing ever happened. This is the significance of what these findings are. This is a paradigm shift. I think that this is clearly the single biggest advancement for spinal cord injury treatment in the last 30 years, for that matter, the last few millennia.